Today's daf is Masechtas Gittin Daf Ches. We are at the top of Ches Amud Aleph, 5 lines from the top, the third word on the line. So the Gemara is going to come say another teretz, or Nachman and Yitzchak going to come say another teretz, the stira that the Gemara had in the Brises. That one place says that if someone is maybe get Besvina, it's maybe B'chutz La'aretz, and one Brises said it's maybe get B'Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara says, or Nachman and Yitzchak says that Benaharis Eretz Yisrael, the guy may get that's written on a boat that's found in the rivers, in the waters of Eretz Yisrael. Everybody agrees that since the water is in the Tchum of Eretz Yisrael, so there's a din like a get that's written in Eretz Yisrael. And you can't learn out from the fact that there's a machlokes l'gabe Trumas U'Maisos and Shvius, because over there, l'gabe dinim of Trumas U'Maisos and Shvius, it's totally in Yanika, meaning where do you consider that it's being fed from? Get that has to do with the actual boundaries of Eretz Yisrael. So Zaktamar ala ki pligi bayam agadol. So the Gemara says everybody agrees that the Tchum in Eretz Yisrael, the water is in Eretz Yisrael. So when is there machlekes? Machlekes of the Brises is only in a boat that's in the Yam Agadol. And like you find the machlekes later on in the Brisa, if there's certain areas in the Yam Agadol, it's a shaila if it's a machlokes, if it's considered Eretz Yisrael, it's considered Chutz La'aretz. So the question, that's the western border of Eretz Yisrael, the Ma'ariv border of Eretz Yisrael, and that's where the machlokes is in the Brisa. Zok the Gemara. The Tanya, because we learned in the Brisa and Tosefta Chumas Parak Beis Halachah Alf, Ezu Eretz ve'Ezu Chutz La'aretz. Where is Eretz Yisrael and where is Chutz La'aretz? So where is the border where one side of it is Yisrael and the other side of it is Chutz La'aretz? So it says in the pasuk, B'Midbar Parak Lamadal pasuk Zayin, and Hayam Hagadol Tesau Lechem Har, meaning to say that the Yam is the western border, and it goes until northwest, where that's where you have the Har, which is called Turei Amnon. And the mountain, Har, has a slant on it from the west side and towards the Yam and towards the south side of it also, and to the north side of it. So the question is, does the northern border, does it go on the top of the mountain or the bottom of the mountain or in the middle of the mountain? So the Tana is coming to say that the northern border goes on the top of the mountain from west to east. So therefore, Kol Shefei V'Yoreh Mituri Aminu L'Fnim, towards the south side is Eretz Yisrael. Mituri Aminu L'Chutz. But if you go out, look on the slant, Mituri Amnon towards Tzafan, towards the northern side, that's considered Chutz La'aretz. Zak the Gemara weiter. So according to what's before in the pasuk, in the Torah, the western border, the Ma'ariv border is the Yam. So therefore, the corner northwest is on the edge of the sea, on the bottom of Turei Amnon, the end of the Shipua of the mountain towards the western side. And the Bryce explains that the western border, the Ma'ariv side, does not go the whole length of the south side, in a way that you don't say that because you say all the islands in the middle of the sea, of the Yam, are considered Chutz La'aretz. So the Bryce says, Hanisin Shabiyam, the islands in the Yam, you look as if there's a string going from Turei Amnon until Nachem Mitzrayim. So from the corner of northwest until Nachem Mitzrayim, which is the southwest border, and all the islands in between, Menachot L'Fnim, is considered towards Eretz Yisrael, is considered Eretz Yisrael, and all the islands Menachot L'Chutz is considered Chutz La'aretz. This is Zok the Gemara. Yehuda says, Kol shekaneged Eretz Yisrael, all the whole area of the Yam HaGadol, which is facing Eretz Yisrael, Harei Eretz Yisrael is din like Eretz Yisrael. Shenamar, it says L'gabe the Gevuloi Sa'aretz, B'midbar Perek Lamed Pasuk Vav, Ugvul Yom v'Haya Lechem HaYam HaGadol Gvul Zeh Yeh Lechem Gvul Yom. So it says in the beginning of the pasuk Gvul Yom v'Haya Lechem HaYam HaGadol. So we learn out that the Ma'ariv Gevul, the Ma'ariv Gevul of Eretz Yisrael is the Yam, and when the pasuk says again Ugvul, it's extra. So from the Yitur, Yehuda learns out that the Yam HaGadol is actually marking the Gvul of Eretz Yisrael, but it's from the inner side of the boundary. So meaning that the Yam that is towards Eretz Yisrael is included in the Tchum Eretz Yisrael, and it goes until the Ukainus, until the Atlantic. So according to this, all the islands that are facing Eretz Yisrael have it in like Eretz Yisrael according to Yehuda. Nisan Shabbat Stadin, and the islands that are not facing Eretz Yisrael, rather they're on the north side or the south side. So Royan Oisan Kiluchut Matuachalei Mikifluria. You look at it like there's a chut that's going from Kifluria, which is a city that's found on the top of Turei Amnoin, and it goes towards the west side and Ad Yam Mekainis, and that's going to be the northern border of the Yam. And Menachal Mitzrayim, you look at it as if there's a boundary Ad Yam Mekainis, and that's the south side. Menachot Lefnim, and between those two markers, Eretz Yisrael is considered Eretz Yisrael, and Menachot Lechut, and the islands on the outside from those two markers on the south side or the north side is in like Chutz La'aretz. So Mela, both of the answers are both of the brises. The Gemara is saying you could answer because they're both talking about a get that's written in a Sfina. It's found in the Yam HaGadol, which is facing Eretz Yisrael. However, one of them is the brisa that says that if you bring in a Sfina, it's like you bring in a Chutz La'aretz, holds like the Chachamim, then anything that's on the other side of this chut has a din like Chutz La'aretz. And the brisa that says has a din like you bring in Eretz Yisrael, holds like Shitas of Yehuda, that anything is that the Shitas of Yehuda is that anything that's in the Yam and is facing Eretz Yisrael has a din like Eretz Yisrael. So Frakti Umar Rabbanan Haya Gavol My Avdilate. What did the Rabbanan learn from this extra word of Gavol that Rabbi Yehuda made a limit from, because it says it's an extra word? So you need to have the extra word to teach you that all the islands that are found in the inner side of the chut that's laid out between Turei and Tanach Mitzrayim, consider Eretz Yisrael. And you don't say that the edge of the Yam is the Gavol. In fact, the Gemara of Yehuda, how does he learn that the islands between the two chut are everything like Eretz Yisrael? It's like the Gemara Nisan Leitzrichi Kra. According to Yehuda, they don't need a pasuk because he also included inside the Tchum Eretz Yisrael, because it goes from the west side until the Atlantic City. He holds the whole thing until Atlantic Ocean. He holds the whole thing is considered the Tchum Eretz Yisrael. Zok the Gemara. The Gemara wants to know now. The Gemara is going to discuss the din of Surya. So Surya is Aram Tzeva, which David was captured l'tzarech for himself. It means there's a kibush yachid, like his mavur in Nevi'im Shmuel Beis Parachas Pasuk Gimel. That kibush Surya is called the kibush yachid. So it's machlekes or meir Rabbi Yossi Mesechus Avodah Daf Chaf Alf. According to Rabbi Yossi, it's not chal on Surya Kedushas Eretz Yisrael, and according to Rameir, it is chal Kedushas Eretz Yisrael. So the Mishnah said that Rameir Oimer Akai Eretz Yisrael, forget it. Akai has a din like Yisrael. So fact Gemara Boimene Rechiba Rabba, asked from Rechiba Rabba, Moicher Avdel Surya, if somebody sells his Eved Kanani to a person that lives in Surya, is it Kemoichem Chutz La'aretz? It's considered like he's selling his Eved to somebody in Chutz La'aretz, and it's a din like Moicher Avdel. That the halacha is if you sell your Eved to somebody in Chutz La'aretz, it goes l'cheres, because the Chacham made a kanas on l'keach that we don't want to bring your Eved kanan to Chutz La'aretz, and the reason is because the Eved's chayv mitzvahs like an isha, and Mele is also to go out from Eretz Yisrael Chutz La'aretz. What do you say? The mechir of Surya is not going like a mechir to Chutz La'aretz. So that would be a nafkamina. Nafkamina is if he's yotz l'cheres or not, because of the kanas Chacham gave a person selling a Evet summoning chutz la'aretz because it's taking away the chiyuv mitzvahs. Amar lahu. So Reb Chia bar Abba said, Tenisua, you can learn it from a Mishnah. Me'orim akar etzol gittin. So you can medayik like gittin in dafka. Akar is a din like etzol gittin, but la avadam loy. In mechiras avadam, akar is not considered etzol. And somebody that sells his eved from Eretz Yisrael to Akar, the eved goes al lecheres. So Kolshkin Surya in Rachatuvang, and you can say Kolshkin Surya, which is even further away, Kalachomer, that it's not going to have a din like Eretz Yisrael and be Eretz lecheres. So that's the Gemara's raya. Zok the Gemara Vayter. So now the Gemara is going to discuss the sugya of Tumah on Eretz Ha'amim. So the Chacham saw just a few halachas on Tumas Eretz Ha'amim. Chacham saw that the Goyim and Chutz La'aretz and Nachum and Chutz La'aretz are mezalzel on their mesim, and they were just burying the Nephilim and mesim in any area where they possibly could. So the Goyim are on the offer, the dirt of Chutz La'aretz Shri Tamei, because there's a chashash and maybe it's an etzem kisayir that's found there, a shear of Tumah etzem kisayir, and that's called that Tumah is called called Tumas Eretz Ha'amim. So there's three takanas in this gezerah. In the beginning of the first years of Bayis Sheni, Yosi ben Ye'ezer Eshreda and Yosi ben Yechanan Yerushalayim were goyzer Tumah on Afar Eretz Ha'amim, on dirt of Eretz Ha'amim, and Truma that touched Afar Eretz Ha'amim was Tamei Misafik, but it wasn't did not get Sreifa like Truma Vadas, the Truma Vadas that became Tamei. And then 200 years later, after that, which was 80 years before the Churban, the Chachamim of that Dar, they were Moisef, and they were Goyzer Tumah on the ear of Eretz Ha'amim, and that was also Tumas Safik. And Tumas Ha'afar is called in Gemara Tumas Gusha also, is a chunk of dirt, and Tumas Aver is called Tumas Avira. So a number of years after the Churban, Chachamim were Moisef, and the Goyzer on Usha, that's Tamei Tumas Afar, Eretz Ha'amim should not be Tamei only Misafik. He said it shouldn't be Tamei Misafik, rather it should be Tamei a Tumah Vadas. So again, so they were Goyzer and Usha, Tumas Afar Eretz Ha'amim should not be Tamei Misafik, rather it should be Tumah Vadas, and Tumah that touches Afar Eretz Ha'amim is Nisrefes. So not like earlier they were Goyzer, it's just Tamei, but it's not Nisrefes. But Tumas Aviras always stayed a suffix. So Zaktamar, Tana Rabbanon learn B'shleisha Drachim Shafsa Sur Eretz Yisrael. In three ways, Surya has a din like Eretz Yisrael. B'shleisha l'chutz la'aretz. In three ways, it has a din equal to chutz la'aretz. So Zakta Gemara. Simin, the Simin is Ab, which is Afar and Eved, Bar, which is maybe get a Meiser, and Rak, which is Tyra and kind of stuff. The Zakta Gemara. So the Zakta Brisa. The Brisa starts counting them. Afara Tamei kechutz la'aretz. The Surya has a din that it's Tumas Eretz Ha'amim, just like chutz la'aretz. But Meicher Avdel Surya, somebody sells the Eved Kanan, the Surya has a din like Meicher chutz la'aretz, and the Eved Yotzel Cheretz. So maybe get the Surya. Someone brings a get that's written in Surya the Shlech Eretz Yisrael can maybe be chutz la'aretz has a din like it's bringing chutz la'aretz. So in those ways, those three ways, it's equivalent to chutz la'aretz. So b'shloisha zakta brayis l'Eretz Yisrael is similar to Eretz Yisrael, because chayeves v'ma'aser b'shviyas Eretz Yisrael, it's chayev v'ma'aser b'shviyas Eretz Yisrael, right to the konas l'b'tahar nichnas. You could go into Surya without becoming tamei with tumas Eretz Ha'amim. If you walk in there, you don't become tamei. V'akoyna sada b'Surya. If somebody buys a sada in Surya, kakoyna par v'roi Yerushalayim, it has a din like he's buying in the provinces of Yerushalayim. So Zok the Gemara, the Torah says in Devar Perikad Alf Pasuk Dal, Kol Makam Tidroich Kaf Raglechem Boy Lachem Yeh, and the Sifri says in Akev that all these areas that you capture, besides for certain places, has a din like it's yours. So. And we darshan also that also in these places is noyig mitzvah aretz. The machlekes tanam on which kibush is the Torah talking about when it says kol hamakam shetidr chav ragelchem. Some say it's dafka kibush rabim, and like the kibush that Yeshua did, that all the Yidden captured it together for everyone. And some say that even a kibush yachid is shmoi kibush, that the mitzvah should be no, you get like in it like Eretz Yisrael. And for instance, Surya that David captured was a kibush yachid, is totally this machlekes. Like, did it have kedush Eretz Yisrael or not? So the Gemara zok the Gemara that it says in the Brisa that Surya is chayaves b'ma'aser b'shvius Eretz Yisrael, although it was captured and made David and kibush yachid. So zok the Gemara is because the Tana of the Brisa holds kasavar kibush yachid shmei kibush. And in Mela, it's considered kibush, and meaning that it should be chal on the malkum kedusha Eretz Yisrael. Also, Zak the Brayis, somebody wants to go in the Surya, but the Haira, you can go in. Frek the Gemara, what do you mean by Amr Afar Tami? You said that the Brayis said that the Afar of Surya is Tami, so how can you go in without becoming Tami? And for the Gemara, it's talking about Bashid Teva Megdal. They had big boxes that they blew up to be Abarim Sa, and people carry them in a way that the Shida would not touch the ground in Surya, and that's how you would stay tar. So that's only possible in Surya, but in other Eretz Ha'amim, you can't go inside without becoming Tamim. Why? The Tanya we learned in the Brayisa, Nichel Eretz Ha'amim, Shida Teva Migdal. If you go into Eretz Ha'amim in a box, Rebbe's Matami, because he holds oil Zaruk, Lav Shmei oil that's just thrown in, it's not considered oil. And then Mela, because it's a portable oil, Mashas being Taltal, it's not considered oil, and therefore the floor of the box, it's not chaytzis between him and the Afar Eretz Ha'amim. And Mela, it's like he's being ma'on on Eretz Ha'amim becomes tummy. But Rabbi Yosef Yehuda holds that because oil zaruk shmei oil, it's considered oil, and it's considered the floor of the karkas chaytzis between him and the Eretz Ha'amim. So Zok the Gemara, Afilu Rebbe, even Rebbe loy kamatame ela b'Eretz Ha'amim, only in Eretz Ha'amim, the gazra al gusha, because he goes a tama on the afar in Eretz Ha'amim, v'al avir, and he goes a tama if someone's mal on the avir. About Surya, however, in Surya al gusha gazra, they only geyser that if you touch or you carry, you mace it on the afar, you tummy, but avir loy gazru on this the airspace that we're in geyser. And Mela, somebody goes into Surya, Shidin Teva Migdal, is not tamei because he did not touch or it wasn't maced on the tama. Somebody buys a field in Surya, it's as if he bought in the provinces of Yerushalayim. Lagabi which halachas is said, Dr. Rav Sheshes loymar shekoisvin olav oinoi v'afilu b'Shabbos. That if you yid buys a soda from a goy in Surya and the goy wants to just skip town and he doesn't want to wait to sell it, he wants to get it done right away, the halacha is even on Shabbos great shtar mechir. For the more Shabbos al kadaitach, he's mutter to malacha of ksiv is mutter on Shabbos for buying a field. It's like the Gemara could Amar Rava, like Rava says that the tzarich choyla shem b'sakana oimer lechavim could tell a guy to do something for you, va'oisa, and the guy could do what the Yisrael tells him to do. So hachanami, in this case also, you could tell him chavim va'oisa, and you could tell a guy to write the shtar and do what you need to do on Shabbos. So afagav the amir lechavim shvos, even though amir toyev chavim is a shvos, so it's the rabbanim kol makoim mishum yishuv Eretz Yisrael, because the mitzvah of yishuv Eretz Yisrael to have yidden live there, which includes getting the guy out of there. So if the guy wants to sell you his field, that's included. Like guys are rabbanim, they weren't geyser the shvos, so maybe you could tell a guy to do it even on Shabbos. Zok the braysa vayter. Gemara brings a braysa. Tan rabbanon eved shehevi gitoi v'kasavay atzmacha u'nachasai kanui lacha. Eved Kanani that brings his get shtar shecher from Dinas Hayam, and he wasn't a shtacher yet. Just his master made him a shliach to bring the get to be mishtacher in his destination, and he has to say before nechdem just like the isha that brings a get. V'kasavay atzmacha u'nachasai kanui lacha. It says in the get in the shtar shecher, he wrote that he's mak to the eved himself and the nechasim of the adin. And the Eved says nechtam, and he wants to go out free and to be zoich and nechasim of his masters. The halacha is atzmai kana, he's kind himself Eved, and he goes out free, the cheirus, but nechasim like kana. The nechasim is not kana, and he can only be zoich and his other nechasim once in the chasimis on the get, and the skayim just like all kiyum stars. So Zok the Gemara weiter, Ibayalahu. So until now we're talking about when the Adain told the Eved Kanani in this case, he told him Atzcha K'nui L'cha, and then he also told him Unachasai K'nui L'cha. So the Gemara is going to be supik now. Ibayalahu, what's the halacha if the Eved brings his get, and it says Kol Nachasai K'nui L'cha. All it says is one diber. So the Adain was a schaman to Mishachar's Eved in one diber. He said Kol Nachasai K'nui L'cha, and he was chaman at the same time to be Mishachar. So Mahu. What's the din within these nechasim? So do you say that just like his belief to say v'fanech nechtam on himself, so too he's neman on nechasim, or is it only negay, or is it only neman on the part that's negay for shechur, and not on the part that's negay for nechasim, and maybe he's not zeicha in his others nechasim? So Zakti Gemara Amar Abaye Mitoich Shekana Atzmai Kana Nechasim. So Abaye says that mitoich, that he's believed on himself, like we said before, that he's neman to mishacher himself, so too he's kana nechasim, he's kana the rest of nechasim. Because since it was said b'dibar echad, you're not mechalak his words, you can't split it up and say only one part, or just a shecher part of where it works, but not the kinyan nechasim. So since a chacham masakin that it helps the shliach mekayim the get for shecher, and he's mutter and a baschur and he mekayim mitzvahs, so they also believed him halidei l'skiyim that to moitzi mammon from the adin and he can be zayich nechasim. So Amalei Rava told him by Bishlei ma'atzman likni. It's understood that the Eved can be kind himself and go and be yoytzel lecheres without edikim halidei zamir fanechtam midahava get isha, just like if I'm a get isha, that the isha is not managed to bring her own get and say fanechtam even without edikim. On the chasim zok Rava, but the chasim loy likni, you should not be semich on the get and give them to him. Midahava kim stars ta'alma. Just like any shtar moment that's not makuyim to edim has no value, and hagam that the Eved and the Chasim were included in the Dibur of Kol Nechsei, but Lamaisi says Dr. Ravi say Palgin in the Bura. We split up the Namanas, and you say that the guy with the chilik is the gear for a shichur of the Eved, there's a kiyim, but the guy with the chilik is the gear, the kin the Chasim is no kiyim. So how do Abaya Dr. Gemara was chayzen? He said, you know what, the opposite. So we don't say Palgin in the Bura. So mela mitoich loikana nechasim, since it's not kana nechasim, loikana atzmai. So the Abaye, you know what, nothing works, and it's not even yoytzel lecheres. It doesn't even help for his freedom, because since the namanis of the maybe get is a takanas chamin, and the need to have two edim for the kiyum shtar mammon is also takanas cham because of ziyuf, and we don't know which takana is better. We don't know which to choose. So misafik we say Baal Shtar Tachtena and nothing works. It's not a shecher b'chlal. Amalei Rava, so Rava told Abaye Bishlam nechasim loy likni, saying I understand that nechasim you shouldn't be koina. Why? Because it's missing the kiyum of tuedim midah havakim stars ba'alma. Just like by a regular star moment does not have the star has no value without the kiyum of tuedim. Ela atzma likni. Why can't the Evan be koina with his own amira? Fanechtam. Even without edikim, how about get isha? Just like by get isha. So Alama Rava, Zok Rava, Echadzeh, Sai if he wrote Atzmachov and Chasai, and Sai if he wrote in the star one dibur of Kol Nechsai. So you say Kol Nechasai K'nuyin L'cha. So Zok Rava, both of them you'll say Atzmai Kana and Nechasam Yinakain. So Frak the Gemara.